Hello, everybody. Welcome to the FFL America Agency Call. We have an incredible special guest today here. We have two-time Hall of Fame producer, Mr. Evan Melchior. He's earned $500K plus the last 2 years in a row on his own pen. He's also built up an agency to $643,000 in earnings issue paid for his team in September. He's an executive vice president of Family First Life Compassion, and we're just super excited to have him on the call. I've wanted to learn from this guy for so long, and I'm just excited that we get to share that with everybody. So Evan, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, so you're out there in Chicago right now.
Yeah, it's been
Awesome,
a great day of training. Got some, Sean's here, Mark Mead, a whole bunch of great guys to learn from.
Fantastic. Well, dude, let's just get a little bit of your background here. Tell us a little bit about who you are, how old you are. I know that you have an office. Tell us where that is and how people can plug into it. But how did you hear about Family First Life? What were you doing before this?
Yeah, dude. So I'm 26 years old, born and raised in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I was a photographer for about 3 years and was introduced to Family First Life by my good buddy, Tyler Sagal, who I grew up playing basketball with, good family friend. And long story short, he had been in my ear for it for a little while about it. I remember, I'll never forget, he sent me a long Snapchat message, explaining the great opportunity. And I remember I literally read the first 3 sentences and swiped away. I'm like, what is Ty trying to get me to do this time? But yeah, located in Wisconsin, we've got a couple offices there. We got one in Fond du Lac, up in Green Bay. And we're just continuing to grow. It's a good time.
That's awesome, man. And how old are you?
26.
26. Okay. So 26 years old. You got started when you were 23, 24?
24.
24. Okay. So 24 years old, you were a photographer, no sales experience.
Right.
Okay. And then in your first full year, you were able to go out and issue 500,000 on your own pen.
481 my first year.
481 your first year. Okay. All right. We'll get it right. And then what about so far year to date this year?
540.
540. Okay. Wow, man. So there's a lot of new people on here that they have no sales experience whatsoever. They're coming into this and, maybe they think, oh, that guy over there, he comes from a previous sales background. So that's why he's naturally good at this. You were somebody who didn't have a previous sales background. So was this something that came natural to you, or was it something that, you kind of had your hurdles that you had to overcome?
It was not pretty getting started, but, I think one of the biggest things for me in my experience was I had somebody with Ty, being my best friend for a long time, that I had him to trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, if you're cold market coming into this thing, whether you're warm market, I just think you need to find someone that you can rely on, and that whether it's your direct upline, whether it's somebody, that's in a situation you want to be in, just to find somebody that can help guide you to where you want to be. But man, I'll never forget my first dial day. I booked a half appointment. It was a quick set, dialed the phone, 8 hours. And now it's like, I got new agents coming and they're like, yeah, man, dial day has been rough. I've got 4 appointments. And I'm like, bro, that's a lot better than I was when I started. So it's all good.
Yes. No, I totally feel that. I just got off live dials and there was somebody on there who it was 11 o'clock their time and they were super upset because they were only at 5 appointments. And I was like, man, when I was first getting started, I remember I dialed for 10 hours and I got 7 appointments and I was, I worked my butt off. You're at 5 appointments before lunch. Good work. So I think the standards have kind of raised here. So let's just get into it, man, because you're somebody that I think we can learn a lot from. We'll start here just kind of talking a little bit about from a sales perspective. So obviously you've been a Hall of Fame producer twice now. Let's just talk a little bit about dial day mindset. So today, probably guaranteed, is the first dial day for many people who are here on this call. So what is your advice to somebody who's coming into dial day for the first time from a mindset perspective, leads perspective, and then maybe we can get into some of the things you say on the phone?
Yeah. So I think first things first, you have to believe in yourself enough to take that leap to get the amount of leads that you need. I think that's one of my most super basic pieces of advice to a lot of people that aren't where they're wanting to be, is just the simple fact that they're not buying enough leads. I mean, my personal production is great, right? But I bet 99% of the people that want that personal production, well, let me backtrack. What I'm trying to say is a lot of people that want that same production aren't going to be willing to get the amount of leads that they need to get to that point. But dial day, dude, I think it's simple. I think for me, one thing that I always tried to try to trick my mind into thinking is acting like what we do is like your 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, whatever. So for me, it's 8 o'clock every single Monday, Thursday. No excuses. If I've got stuff I've got to do business wise, get my car fixed, whatever the situation is, that can be done later in the day, but I'm starting my dials at 8 o'clock. For example, I got into Chicago last night at about 11:30, and I was on the phones at 8, booked 9 appointments before 10:30 when the meeting started. And now, as soon as I get off this, I go up, talk for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go dial to make sure I get the 15 to 20 for the weekend. I'm going to drive 3 hours from here and stay in a hotel for 2 nights and crank out 10 to 15K of Smith. So dude, I don't think it's that deep. I think, as I try to grow the business and as I see agents coming and going, it's the biggest issue for all of them is they're not even giving themselves the chance. And that starts with the dial day. They're not actually putting in the hours. It's like, if back to new agents down the phone and not having success, it's like, hey, Evan, I dialed today and I only booked 8 appointments. And I'm like, okay, so that's actually incredible, first of all. But what did your dial day look like? Oh, I started at 10, dialed till 1, took my dog for a walk, and I dialed for another hour. I'm like, that's 6. That's 4 hours of dialing. And you booked 8 appointments. So go from 4 to 8 hours, you're booking 16, you do that twice a week, that's 30 appointments a week. You're going to walk into a 30K month producer by running 30 appointments a week. I don't really see why it's that difficult for people to grasp, but that's just the hard reality.
I mean, from a discipline perspective, I mean, there's a lot of people who they struggle with just the internal battle of what dial day is. I always say, dial day, it's a battle, but it's not a battle of you versus the client, which most people think it is. It's a battle of you versus you. Like, are you willing to just sit down in the chair and get it done? Because for me personally, I want to just get it done. I have other things I want to do. I want to have dinner with my wife and son. I want to be able to, I think Zach Tardowski said, the only thing that I hate more than dialing is dialing late at night on a Monday or a Thursday, panicking because I don't have enough appointments for tomorrow because I was lazy in the morning, and I think that's so real. So for me, same thing. I'm sitting in the chair at 7:30, I'm dialing, I'm hitting the green button directly at 8. And I even play games with myself. And I'm sure you do something like this too, where it's like, you know what, just one more appointment and then I'll let myself go to the bathroom. One more appointment and then maybe I'll run to the fridge and grab a sandwich or a shake and come right back to my chair, and I'm going to dial while I'm drinking the shake because I'm not going to go take a 2-hour lunch break, because that's going to keep me from getting back to dialing. And I think that's one of the number one things that new agents struggle with, is just the discipline of getting it done and just getting it over with. And I think it's also, you hear a lot of agents say, man, I hate dialing. And I don't think there's anybody who likes dialing. However, you have to learn to love dialing, because when you learn to love dialing, you know that you are setting yourself up for success with the right number of appointments, because you know what comes from the dialing. You have to learn to love the activity, love the grind, love the battle. So I love that advice, man. What do you say? I mean, we don't have to go into deep phone scripts here unless you want to give your phone script, but any tips for little things that you do on the phone to maybe tie some things down, or any little word tracks that you use that are maybe different than anybody else?
I think one thing I say a lot, I say it, I think 2 or 3 times on my phone script, is real quick. I use the words real quick. So if you pick up the phone, hey, Jamie.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, real quick. This is Evan. I'm actually just getting back in touch with you. Just letting you know, we got that form back that you sent in the mail that you filled out online. Yeah. I'm just the guy they have assigned to your case. So I'll make this super quick for you. I got you at 123 Main Street. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, perfect. And I got your date of birth, 1950. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Cool. So yeah, my job's super simple. Just required to get that information out to you real quick. They got me dispatched out there tomorrow and Saturday. They pick on the young single guy. They got me working all weekend long, but I'm out there tomorrow. Yeah, whatever. But I think just get into it, man.
So what's your psychology behind the real quick?
I got sick of people telling me I'm at work, or I'm in line at the grocery store. I've heard that one before.
Uh-huh.
So I
And
think
I
that
do
knocks
something
them.
very similar. I say, hey, I'll have you off the phone here in like 30 seconds. And I probably say that like 4 or 5 times. And it's like, now it's 4 minutes. I'm tying the appointment down. It's been much more than 30 seconds, but they keep going with it. So
Right.
that's really good. I think if you guys are taking notes, adding little things into your phone script, like real quick, hey, this will just take about 30 seconds. And I'll have you off the phone. That's great. In regards to overcoming objections, because I think that's where a lot of new agents get hammered. Do you have any, blanket statement or something that you do to overcome objections? Like what's your go-to?
Dude, I just keep it moving. I think I just always resort back to confirming, their address or their date of birth,
Mm-hmm.
and just laugh it off and just keep moving. I guess I know that's not that great of advice, but
No, that's okay, because I think whether you're saying it or not, I'm sure that what you're doing is that you're doing what's called the AAA method, which is what most producers do. They have an objection, you quickly acknowledge it, you brush it off like it's not a big deal. You acknowledge the objection, you answer the objection, you ask a new question. So you're back to confirming the address, and every single time that you ask a question, you retake control of the appointment and you just keep it moving. Is that right?
yeah, sounds pretty fair to me.
Awesome. So let's talk about your in-home, and then we'll jump into some building tips here. What kind of leads are you working?
Primarily, I got mail coming in let's say 5 or 6 different pockets all over the country.
Okay.
And
nice.
yep, I'm blessed to have that. Go ahead.
Sure. When you first got started, you didn't have access to mail, though. You probably were working Facebook final expense mailers. As soon as the internet leads came out, you worked internet leads. And I know that you obviously you own the mail for a lot of the areas that you're in, but a lot of your new agents, they're working the internet leads, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So Facebook final expense is what I started with. And I don't think the instants were out at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just knew I put my mind to $1,000 per dial day with the Facebook final expense leads.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that was going to get me the appointment count I needed. So $2,000 a week is what I was getting on the Facebook final expense at the time when I started.
Sure. So willing to spend $2,000 a week on leads as you're first getting started. You got a bunch of appointments, you learned the ropes, you got to your first 100 appointments as quickly as possible. Now, what would you say, you're like a, 50, 60, sometimes, 70, 80K producer, probably like 60K from what I see most of the time. What are you spending on leads currently?
Dude, I don't even keep track. If I had to throw a ballpark, probably going to scare some people, because this just goes to show anybody can do it, because you don't really have to be that good. You can just get a bunch more leads than everybody else and just make a mess of it. I think it'd be fair to say like $15,000 a month. $15,000
a month. Okay. So like like $4,000 a week, almost $3,500 a week. Okay. But to be able to go out and produce, $15K in a week, who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't spend $1 to make 5? That makes perfect sense. So, and you start seeing people when they start to get good, that shows you if Evan's spending $1 to make 5, then he's not as good as everybody maybe makes him out to be. When you have some people, they spend $1 and they make 10, they make 12, they make 14. It just sounds to me like you buy a lot of leads and you work really hard and you make sure that you make your money back and try to multiply it a couple times. So let's just dive into a couple of in-home sales tips, and then we'll dive into some things you're doing with your team. You knock on the front door and you go to sit down. Let's just pretend it's instant internet lead, the most popular lead that we have. What does that setting the table look like from the moment that you get to the front door and you knock into you're about to start the financial inventory? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So what I like to do with all the appointments that I book, I print out the lead, whatever type of lead it is. And I'll sit down with it just so I have their name on it. And I'll start with, do you go by Jamie, or what do you go by?
Yeah, I go by Jamie.
For you. Okay, cool. Well, again, my name is Evan. Real quick, here's my state license, and I just have it, laminated in the back of my binder. And I go into real quick. My name's Evan. Here's my state license, just for a little bit of credibility for you. And then my job is just to come out here and figure out, based on your health, age, and situation, which of the state regulated companies is going to pick you up for the best rate. We're going to send you in for approval. So there are 3 reasons why I'm here. You either don't have any life insurance at all, you got some, you need some more, or you want to leave a legacy. Which one of those are you?
I want to leave a legacy.
Okay, perfect. And from there, I do my in-home super short, super simple, probably too short sometimes, but I mean, I'm in and out. If I'm writing one app, I'm in and out no longer than 25 minutes. And I think there are a couple of things that you need to make sure you knock down, and that's the first thing is trust. I mean, I show my license right away just because, I mean, at the end of the day, actually, I have a funny story. So I was getting some car insurance from my cousin, and I needed to fill out a DocuSign, and I needed to put my routing and account number. And I'm like, I threw up this guard. I'm like, it's my freaking cousin, and I'm still like having a hard time. That's just human nature, right? So I want to show my license right away, let that guard down a little bit, and then it's just a matter of figuring out why you're there, and just genuinely caring while you're doing that.
So you spend a lot more time figuring out why you're there, it sounds like, than you do building rapport about fake stuff, about what's on their walls. You know, you see a fish on their wall. Oh, I love fishing. Or, you know, you see football playing in the background. I love football. It sounds like you just get right down to business and you find out why you're there.
Yeah, dude. I have a big thing I like to do is when a beneficiary comes up, I hand them the form I'm filling out, and I make sure that they write down the first and last name in relation to themselves. I just think that's a little psychological thing. That
so you're saying when the beneficiary comes up, you hand them the financial inventory and you have the client write down, for instance, their son's name and the relationship.
Yeah, and I just say, just so I spell everything right, go ahead, just write down the first and last name for me.
No, that's good. That's really good. I actually want to start using that because obviously, you know, you want to make sure that you get who the beneficiary is. You want to make sure that you get that name so you can use that name multiple times throughout the appointment. But that's really good. I haven't heard that one before. So having them write down the name of the beneficiary, it just makes it a little bit more real. Okay, so let's just go into some basic in-home objections. And obviously, if you set the table well, you shouldn't have any objections. And it sounds like you set the table really well. If you're able to get out of the appointment here in like 25 minutes, what do you do to avoid think about it?
I give him this awkward stare. I got to think about it. So I don't love to have to resort to this, but if I can feel some pushback, coming, I feel that I got to think about it. When I get to the payment information, I'm going to explain that, you know, my job is to send you in for approval. And I know you want this coverage in place as soon as possible because that's what I'm here for, right? Make sure something happens to you tomorrow. But if this gets approved, what's a good day of the month for first payment to come out for this coverage to start? So I get them to tell me, so say it's the 3rd of the month. They tell me, oh yeah, usually the 15th of the month is perfect. So now I go into, yeah, okay, perfect. I just need a voided check so they can pull that, you know, right out of the checking account. They're going to hit me with well, I got to think about it. And I see it coming, right? I'm just reading them. So then I say, yeah, perfect. Absolutely. You just need 2-3 days to probably think about that, right? Yep. Okay. You just told me that we're going to have this start on the 15th. So that's about a week and a half. So there's no reason why, if this gets approved today and first payment's coming out on the 15th, that wouldn't be enough time to think about it, would it? That's how I go around that. I know it's not the best to be post dating, but if I can sense that coming, that's the way I'm going to go with it.
Okay. No, I like that. And I think just like getting business on the books, it's obviously just as important to keep business on the books. So are you doing anything at the end of the appointment? Just really simply as a Hall of Fame producer, how are you cementing that sale? Are you leaving anything behind? Are you letting them know that they're approved or declined in the home? Like, what does that cement right at the end look like before you leave?
I let them know that if they're approved or not. And I tell them their policy's coming in the mail. Dude, it's make me feel like I should be doing something I'm not, but
hey,
that's all I do, man.
You're helping the clients, and that's all that matters, man. Okay. Any final advice that you would give out to a brand new agent?
Yeah.
From a sales perspective.
Specifically sales perspective. One of the the things for me that helped, because I mean, the roller coaster of the day, I think, is the biggest thing that we have to overcome as agents. And because I think too many of us let whatever's going on outside of the business that leads into a no sale. You're just walking yourself into a no sale. I'm not gonna lie, it happens, dude. It happens sometimes on a Saturday when I've got 4 more appointments, and I've got plans the next day, and I got some time off, and I'm looking forward to it, and I start caring less about work, or you just go through a rocky day of no sales and no shows. And I used Tyler as kind of like as my rock to make sure that I stay, not all over the place. So I know that's not super sales related, but I think you just got to find somebody that you can call throughout the day, check in with, ups and downs, talk about your experiences. What can he do to help? Whether they can even do something to help with the sales perspective of it, they're going to help set you straight mentally.
Yeah. I mean, everything. I mean, from a sales perspective, I mean, it really is all mindset. It all does come back to that. So if you're not too high, not too low, the emotional roller coaster, I mean, it's the ride that we're all on, and we have to just stay on the ride. And I mean, you're a Hall of Fame producer, and you still have days where you get no-showed, and you still have days where you sell every single person that you sit with. So I think it's just important to know that the same wind blows on us all. It's not the blowing of the wind, it's the set of the sail, Mr. Jim Rohn. So
yeah,
Evan, I appreciate, go ahead.
Or let me just add to that. On my birthday this year, it's just like a month ago, I went 1 for 11, and the policy I wrote was like a 400 AP AIG. So it happens, man.
I love it, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on here and talking a little bit about what you do in the home. So we're excited to have you.